Hello and welcome to another exciting Victoria 3 developer diary. We're going to be moving on to something a little bit new this time because for the past few weeks we've been looking at war and warfare related things like peace deals and such. And, you know, it's not been my favourite part of the dev diary so far, it's plain to see. But we're moving on to something new, a new category of dev diaries, and we're going to be having a look at technology. I'm excited. I think it's going to be pretty good. And as you can see, all the way up here, this technology is afoot. And we have, I believe that's the first plane ever, the first flight by the Wright brothers. And yeah, no, it's pretty dope. It's pretty cool. It's pretty nice. And let's hope that the dev diary follows suit and is also very cool and awesome and nice. So let's have a look. So, technology, dev diary, number 27. Welcome back to another Victoria 3 Developer Diary. Today we'll be talking about something we've already had to touch on in numerous previous dev diaries, as it's a topic crucial to every part of the game: technology. The Victorian era saw revolutionary progress in three major areas: industry, military, and politics. The rise of automation and free enterprise brought about the promise of immense material wealth for anyone willing and able to put in the work. Military technology, on land, at sea, and eventually even in the air, progressed so rapidly it could render a nation's centuries-old doctrines obsolete overnight. Along with these material changes came a fundamental reorganization of the societies themselves, sometimes by redistributing power from the ancient noble regimes to benefit the common people, and at other times by running in such democracies through entirely novel power structures made up of bureaucrats, business magnates, or populist autocratic strongmen. Yep, good introduction. Technology went further. And I do like as well that they're not just seeing materialistic things in technology, because, you know, progress in, like, maybe technology is the wrong word to be using for this dev diary. It's like, it's progress in many different areas, like they said. Progress in industry, which would be, you know, technology. Progress in military is not just in, you know, well, we can build a better gun or we can build a better battleship or whatever. It's also doctrines and strategies and such would definitely come into play here. So it's not just about things. And then politics as well is a big area of progress. So yeah, everything's just, you know, moving forward. Not necessarily moving forward in a positive direction, mind you. Not all progress is beneficial, after all. So maybe technology is the wrong word to be using, especially if things like, you know, political science is going to be a part of this. But yeah, looking good. The three revolutions are presented in Victoria 3 through these three distinct tech trees: production, military, and society. Within each tree, the many technologies your country will discover through each game are organized such that each tech both requires one or several others and leads to one or several others. Okay. Modders might be interested to know that each tree automatically rebuilds and reorganizes itself whenever changes are made, to make it pain-free to add, remove, or change the tech trees without having to tinker with the tree layout or static image files. We've seen this before. This technology is not new. This is exactly the same system that was present in Imperator Rome for the mission trees. And in fact, these look very much like mission trees in Imperator Rome. You know, you got your image, you got your bit of text. I'm sure there'll be some, you know, hover over it to get more text, whatever. But the way that they're saying here, they'll automatically rebuild and reorganize itself. That's what I believe Arheo came up with for Imperator Rome when they added the mission system. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's great to see because it is a really powerful system, and I'm glad to see it, you know, continuing on in new Paradox games as well. So, to research shaft mining, which permits the construction of mining industries, you need both enclosure, which permits private ownership of land, and manufactories, which lets you establish basic industries that make finished products. Shaft mining itself leads to prospecting, which increases your chance of discovering new resources, steelworking, which lets you build steel mills, and the atmospheric engine, a building-sized early steam engine employed to pump water out of mine shafts. Industrialized countries start the game with most or all of these technologies. All right, lovely stuff. I wonder, are there going to be multiple ways of achieving something, right? And what I mean by this is, um, imagine these are completely different texts. Like, it doesn't even need to be named something, right? It's just an example, right? Are there going to be any texts where, say, this shaft mining needs either enclosure or manufactories? Or is everything that is reached by two branches, does it always need both? That would be interesting to find out, because sometimes things may only need one of the branches. That could be, an interesting thing to do, especially if these enclosures and manufactories come from vastly different areas. But yeah, very nice, very nice. Production technologies are all about increasing your economic capacity in various ways. These tend to be very concrete inventions, such as cotton gin, which increases the output of cotton plantations, and dynamite, which can be employed for increased yields in all kinds of mines. On some occasions, they are more abstract, such as enclosure, which is a prerequisite for modern construction of modern, privately owned farms and ranches, or shift work, which more effectively utilizes labor in your manufacturing industries. Production technologies also includes advances to railways, and some even unlock goods unknown at the start of the game, such as rubber, electricity, and automobiles. Military technologies improve your army and navy. These consist of a mix of new weapon technologies, doctrines, and ways of organizing your servicemen and officers. Yeah, like I said, it's not just weapon technologies, it's also doctrines, organization, and such. It's not always materialistic things. Rifling lets you switch production methods from muskets to rifles in your arms industries, increasing their small arms production. Trench infantry, once employed in your barracks, organizes your battalions for trench warfare, which requires greater access to small arms, but establishes a more reliable source of manpower and causes fewer provinces to be lost when territory must be yielded to the enemy. The naval part of the tree is mostly dedicated to the invention of new ship types, but also includes a few new naval strategies that unlock or improve the effectiveness of certain naval orders, as well as upgrades to civilian ports to improve your supply network and trade capacity. Okay. It'd be interesting to see, what individual techs do, right? Because, you've now researched trench warfare, which is... you will lose less provinces when you lose. Is it like planning to fail? Is that something that Paradox players often do? I don't know. It's like in EU4, the core cost increase that Morocco used to have. It was never something that you would want to have if you were creating your own nation, because it was basically planning to fail. Hopefully trench warfare also does something else, but the military system is what it is, so who knows. Society technologies are all about new ideas for organizing society. These include ideas pertaining to politics, finance, and diplomacy, to name a few. Democracy permits the enactment of various voting franchise laws, as well as republican principles of governing. Pan-nationalism is a requirement for forming certain larger countries and leads to political agitation, which both makes your population more politically active and also gives you more authority to deal with them. Several political ideas in this tree also unlock specific ideologies, which may appear from that point on alongside new interest group leaders and shake up the political landscape so that you had so carefully tuned, such as feminism and anarchism. Just as techs in the production tree often unlock production methods, society techs often unlock laws or ideologies that can lend support for laws previously thought utterly absurd by the political establishment. Alright, it's interesting. It's like inventing these ideas is a bit it's a bit weird, right? It's a bit weird to say, I've just invented feminism. I don't know if it's weird to have that kind of thing as an invention to unlock. But I do recall vaguely that I think it was in reference to communism. Like, if a country is invented or discovered or whatever you want to call it, communism, would that spread to other countries if they hadn't invented communism? And I believe the answer was a yes. But I would need to double check on that one. I hope that's the case, because we're immune to communism, because we didn't click the button to research it would be very strange. In addition, society technologies include improvements to your country's financial system, such as central banking, which increases your capacity for minting new currency and unlocks new diplomatic actions to bankroll a country or take on their debt, as well as new forms of institutions like central archives that unlock secret police laws and institutions and leads to identification documents. It's like, oh, we've got a thing that will unlock a thing, but what is said thing? I don't know. And these are leading to different dev diaries, right? So interest groups leading to the interest group dev diary, minting new currencies leading to the treasury dev diary, diplomatic action dev diary, institution dev diary. Everything is leading to other things, other dev diaries. Like that's what I really like about Victoria. This is a bit of a tangent, by the way. I'm sorry. That's what I'm really liking about Victoria 3. The best thing about it is that every single system seems like it's interconnected with like so many others. Which is really, really nice to see. It's actually fantastic. It's one of the best things about the game that we've seen so far. We're aiming for around about 175 of these technologies in the game on release, split up across the 3 trees. Many countries will start with 20 to 30 of these technologies already researched, as their starting economies, legal systems, militaries, and diplomatic relations rely on them. On average, leading-edge countries will discover perhaps 1 new tech per year, though this pace can vary greatly from country to country. Considering there's 100 years in game, generally you're probably not going to be able to see every tech be discovered. It's probably going to be an achievement for her, though, let's be honest. An early part of the society tree that deals mostly with finance and diplomacy. While a pre-industrial country might want to prioritize crucial production technologies, missing out on elementary society ideas that let you adjust relations or perform effective international trade is inadvisable. A rapidly developing country without allies could easily fall under the influence of an ambitious great power. Being unable to affect relations unless you have an invention for it is a little bit weird, right? I suppose, like, but I don't know, because I don't think there would be any country in the world at this time that wouldn't have the ability to send a diplomat. I don't think that should be something to have an invention for, unless it's one of these decentralized, I think they're calling them, countries, but they're not playable. So, I mean, I would say the hardest countries that to justify not having, the easiest countries to justify not having like international diplomacy would be certain African countries or Asian countries that like being able to diplomatize with far off countries, right? Say Sokoto sending a diplomat to London. I don't see that happening. But that's less of a case of we don't know how to talk to foreigners and more a case of we don't really have a coastline, so we don't really have boats, so we can't really get our people on the boats to go to the London place. You know, it's a bit strange. It's a little bit strange. But that's why I keep saying it's not. Stop calling them inventions, because it's not a thing. It's like ideas as well and policies and such. So I don't know. Bit strange. Embarking on the research of a new technology is a simple matter of clicking on it in the tech tree like you'd like to focus on, and time will take care of the rest. But perhaps time is your most precious resource in Victoria 3, since falling behind your neighbours could be a death sentence, or at least might force you to cede your right to self-determination. The pace at which your research progresses is therefore of the utmost importance. The rate by which countries develop new technologies is measured by innovation. All countries start with a small amount of innovation capacity. These countries who can afford to do so can construct and fund university buildings, which employ academics and clerks to boost innovation and thereby speed up the pace at which a country discovers new things. So, innovation is basically just how more innovation means I research faster, build universities so that academics and clerks get employed there, and these guys boost innovation and thereby get more speed, unlock new things more faster. So university is going to be pretty important. especially for a non-innovative country. Another way to improve research speed is to ensure the industrialists, armed forces, or intelligentsia are satisfied with the state of the country, as this will cause the effective cost of production, military, and society techs to respectively to drop. That's a very interesting change. I mean, it's not really a change, because changing from what? That's an addition that's, like, really cool. Tying technology very, very closely to politics, internal politics. If your industrialists are happy, you get more industrial tech, or rather, industrial tech is cheaper. Armed forces, military tech is cheaper. Intelligentsia, your society tech is cheaper. That is really cool. That is super fucking cool. And you can kind of tailor it so that, you know, maybe it's very difficult to keep both the industrialists and the intelligentsia both happy at the same time because, you know, they have conflicting goals or whatever. Then, while the intelligentsia is all sad and mopey and depressed, we'll just focus on industrial tech. And you know, maybe your society changes later on. And you know what? Now the intelligentsia are happy and the industrialists aren't. Well, now I'll focus on society tech. That's super cool. That is legitimately an awesome and interesting thing to add to the game. I like that a lot. If only one of these groups are pleased with the society you've built, this will incentivize focusing your research on that tree. Yeah, that's literally what I just said. As a result, a country with a large army and laws favoring patriotic, loyalist, and jingoist ideologies would also progress faster in their militarist technologies, though they may well fall behind on production and society. Yeah, that's super cool. The amount of innovation you can use to actively research your chosen technology is capped by your country's literacy. Even if your universities are top-notch, your country's ability to effectively incorporate new learning will be hampered by a poorly educated population. Those countries who aim to be the guiding light of global progress must maintain a solid primary school system in addition to universities that carry out their research. So research is going to be pretty expensive because, well, at least going by Victoria 2, like, social spending when you had public schools, it got pretty expensive. Mexico is evidently on the fast track to becoming the innovative powerhouse in the Americas, but its current literacy rate doesn't quite support making full direct use of the university they built for now. So they've got, 5 universities giving an amount, sure. Everyone got a base amount as well. So you would get 153, however, you can only use 130 because 30.12% literate, I would imagine. So that makes me think that 200 innovation is like your cap, right? I'm assuming that 30.12 is Mexico's literacy rate, and that's why that cap is as it is. But that does mean there is a hard cap to the amount of innovation you can use, which is a little bit sad because that means that, if you have, 7 universities and, you're getting 170 innovation from your universities, which is 220 total because you got the base value there as well, that extra 20 is completely useless, right? Is that not what we're looking at here? Because you can, at the absolute maximum, you can't have 120% fucking literacy. Oh yeah, no, we're 100% literate in our country, but we're bilingual, so therefore, we're 200% literate. I don't think it works like that. It'd be nice if the extra innovation would go somewhere, right? I don't know where it would go, though. Literacy is a product of a pop's education access. If a given pop has 30% education access, over time, 30% of individuals in that pop will become literate. The pace by which this value changes is dependent on the birth and death rate of the pop, since this sort of learning happens mostly in early years. A pop's wealth provides it with a base level of education access, and wealth often varies substantially depending on profession, making higher paid professions have a greater education access. However, literacy is often a limiting factor to a pop's ability to qualify for those jobs in the first place, so relying solely on wealth for education access could severely limit your country's social mobility and opportunity for economic growth. This is where your school system comes in. Okay. Before we go down, I just had a thought, and it maybe isn't a very good thought. Say you've got. It's a problem that Victoria 2 had, to be honest. In fairness, say you've got 70% literacy, and you've got enough universities that you're fulfilling that 70%. You're getting 170 innovation, all going well. You're pretty centralized, pretty small country, but then you conquer something, and the people you conquer are not very literate. Maybe you've colonized or something. Your technology rate would then slow to a snail's pace if if you're like a very small country, maybe like you're the Belgium or Switzerland or something, and the place that you've just colonized has got like a shit ton of people in it, and it would drop your innovation quite severely. It doesn't really make sense that that would drop your literacy rate. You've still got the same amount of people doing research and stuff. It's like I say, it's the same problem that Victoria 2 had. So I'm not sure it's like a massive issue. It's just something that maybe could be looked at. Maybe it'll be the literacy of just your like accepted pops. Something along those lines might work. I don't know. Anyway, let's have a look at the school system. The main source of education access comes from the education institution, which must be established by a law and can be run by either the religious authorities, the private sector, or by a public administration, depending on your school system law. Each of these systems have their advantages. A religious school system keeps your priesthood strong and helps ensure the unity of faith. A private school system works by just peachy for pops with high wealth levels and ensures the working class don't get strange ideas. And public school system lets you enact mandatory schooling for children and encourages cultural assimilation. As someone who's currently living in Finland, who has a pretty good health, not health, it does have a good healthcare system, a good education system. Clearly, public school system is objectively the better one of all of those. Probably the one I'm going to be going for in Victoria 3, like most often, because, cultural assimilation seems like a pretty good idea. A country's literacy is simply the percentage of their pops in incorporated state. Okay, yep, that's it. That's what I was worried about, and we found later in the thing. This is the first time I've read the Dev Diary, clearly. Yes, so only incorporated states count their literacy. That's fine. So don't incorporate your colonies straight away. So literacy is a percentage of the pops in incorporated states that know how to read and write at any given point. This means that if the most educated people in your society decide they've had enough and move abroad, your average literacy will drop to the benefit of the other country. Brain drain, yeah. If a war utterly devastates the backwaters of your nation and slaughters the hundreds of thousands you conscripted to defend it, your average literacy might increase. Yeah, I guess so. After the Texan Revolutionary War, these clerks found themselves once again subjects of Mexico. Alright then, Mexico won. While they currently all know how to read and write, their offspring are unlikely to enjoy the same benefits. Mexico has no formal school system in place, and their wealth doesn't buy much of an education. To add insult to injury, the Catholic Church interest group in Mexico is currently spreading pious fiction to ensure the children aren't led astray by heretical ideas. The next generation of clerks are unlikely to qualify to follow in their parents' footsteps. That is the biggest sad. Also, Texans, very widely known for their, bright red hair. Very, very well known for it, sure. So they've got this much population, education access of 4%. Ouch. That's rough. They're 100% literate, but that's going to be going down to 4%. Oh my god. That's rough. That is rough as hell. Very rough. All technology is organized into eras, which are rough estimates of progress through the game's time span. Anything in Era 1 is considered pre-1836 technology, going back as far as the very idea of rationalism to the invention of steelworking. Era 2 ranges from the start of the game to the around 1860s. Railways and percussion cap ammunition both belong here. Though some countries did have railways a little earlier than 1836, it's not an exact science. Britain did. Era 3 runs from the early 1860s to the end of the 1880s and includes civilizing a mission as a justification for colonization and pump jacks, heralding the rise of the oil industry. Era 4 from the late 1880s to the early 20th century includes both war propaganda and film, both of which might make it easier to justify the horrors which are about to come in Era 5, including battleships, chemical warfare, and stormtroopers. Era 5 also sees truly modern civilization inventions, such as the oil turbine to make electricity from oil and paved road to improve your national infrastructure. Interesting. I wonder if things would get cheap. Like, if you're in Era 3 and there's, that thing in Era 1, we never really thought it was worth it. Is it now going to be cheaper because you're 2 eras ahead? I would hope so. The eras act as an indicator of roughly where you are at a given tree, but also serves as a role in ensuring that rushing a certain late-game technology is difficult. Not only do technologies in later eras take more innovative effort to research, but each technology you've not yet researched in that tree from the previous eras makes it harder and harder to make progress. That's an interesting way of doing it. This means techs aren't unlocked on specific years in Victoria 3, and there's never a hard block preventing you from making your universities develop technologies earlier than they were historically invented, but keep in mind that it's less efficient use of time and resources, so ensure that acquiring that technology ahead of everyone else is actually crucial for your strategy, as it will not come easily. Bum rush chemical warfare? I wonder how viable that would be. Chemical warfare in 1850! Yeehaw! That seems like a terrible idea, but you will win all the wars. Trying to take a shortcut from the atmospheric engine, Era 1, or through water tube boiler 2 and rotary valve engine in 4, this is typo. Straight combustion engine in 4, you're able to manufacture automobiles in the mid-1800s. It's certainly possible, given enough money and grit, but would be far from the best use of your resources. Even skipping a few Era 3 production techs before going for the combustion engine could easily yield this 30% time penalty. The difference which might buy you a whole Era 3 tech. Besides, you might want to research rubber mastication and set up a few rubber plantations before you start building automobiles, unless you want your factories to be wholly dependent on foreign rubber for their tires. It makes sense. And that is the difference in cost is pretty huge. The final yet crucial point about technological development is that government funding and steering of national research is not the dominant way most countries are exposed to new ideas. And this is what I was going on about earlier with the spreading of communism, for example. For each of the 3 categories of technology, production, military, and society, there is always one technology that is spreading in your country. Which exact tech that spreads to you in each category is out of your hands, but it will always be something in your current technological era, which has already been invented elsewhere. That's cool. I like that idea a lot. That's really cool, because that means, like I was saying earlier, right? You're going to get about 1 tech a year if you're on the top tier and not like metagaming or whatever. 175 technologies, take away 30 for the ones that you probably already have if you're ahead of the game at the start of the game as well. So you're not going to be able to get them all, except for the fact that they're going to be spreading from other places too. So yeah, you probably could get them all, even if you don't research them all yourself. Your neighbors research it and you will get it like that. That's really cool. That's a neat idea. I like that a lot. The speed by which technology spreads to you is highly dependent on your population's literacy. In addition, any innovation you generate in excess of the literacy cap is funneled into improving tech spread rate. Dope. I was wondering what extra innovation would cause. It's maybe not a good thing, right? Oh wait, no, it is. Tech spread rate is spreading in you, right? In your own country. I thought at first it would be, it helps spread your technologies to your enemies. Because that would be great. Not. In other words, oversizing your universities compared to your school system can assist in catching up to the rest of the world, but can never be used to get ahead of the others. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty dope. Tech spread is also affected by your freedom of speech laws. Stricter censorship provides you with more authority, but hinders the assimilation of new knowledge throughout your country. It's often to your detriment, but could also very well be exactly what you intended. The downside of having a well-educated population is that they get exposed to foreign ideas more easily. Some of those ideas might not be what you had in mind. A bit more state control over what people are allowed to talk about can help you keep your population focused on the ideas you want them to know about. Again, this goes back to everything is connected to everything else, and that is really freaking cool. The tech system in Victoria 3 is meant to shape and change the game as your campaign evolves. While a few techs apply straight bonuses to various attributes of your country, the primary function of most techs is to unlock new actions, options, and even challenges. Very often, discovering a new technology doesn't have any immediate effect on your country, but gives you new ways to run your country and new tools in your toolbox. A good example of this that we've heard about quite a lot, actually, but I'm going to say it again because it's pretty interesting, is dynamite, right? When you first research dynamite, you can change the production method of your mines to use dynamite instead, which is great because you get way more resources out of your mines. But dynamite's pretty fucking dangerous, and the death rate of the population that are in the mines shoots way the fuck up because a lot more people are dying in the explosions. Which is, I mean, obviously pretty sucky, and you don't want that. So then you invent nitroglycerin, which is a lot more safe. And then you've got the same explosive power and an increase in production, but you also don't have people dying so much from, like, explosions and shit, which is, you know, obviously a good thing. So yeah, there's no immediate effect. Like, if you research dynamite and you don't change your production methods to include dynamite, nothing changes. But you can change it if you want to. Yeah, no, dope. Love it, love it, love it. The introduction of new inventions and ideas can also act as a catalyst for emerging situations in your country, with certain parts of your population demanding these new developments to be adopted or shunned. Much of this is driven by the journal system, which we will talk about in a few weeks, but before that we'll cover another feature of crucial importance to grand strategy games. Flags. Yes, my vexicologist friends will be happy. See you next week for some flags. Love me some flags. Yeah, no, this is a pretty dope dev diary. It's off to a strong start. Pretty happy with it, actually. Yeah, honestly, there's nothing really to complain about. I would say, you know, they've split technology into 3 different sections. If we look at Victoria 2, tech is split up more, but things like military and naval being their own tree, whereas here they're merged together into military, or they're both inside military. I think I'm okay with that. I don't really mind that they're together. I imagine some Victoria 2 diehards will be unhappy about it, but honestly, I've got nothing to complain about. The Victoria 2 system, like, for a new player was like, oh shit, I've got like 15 different options at the start of the game? What the crap? I don't know what to do. Look at a wiki or look at a guide. Oh, someone tell me to go for, you know, education efficiency. All right, I'll just do that then. Or medicine. All right, I'll do that then. This looks way more in-depth and way more interesting and way more interconnected with other parts of the game. So that is really, really cool, and I like that a lot. But I'd like to know what you guys think. So, you know, comment section below. Let me know what you think. What is your thoughts on the technology system in Victoria 3? There is going to be more Victoria 3 content coming in the near future, as well as the responses to this dev diary coming out in a couple of days. There was also a pretty hefty, pretty huge and hefty a Q&A held on the Discord, and I will be covering that as well. I'm not sure when I'll be able to get that video out. I would have hoped to have had it out already. Unfortunately, I had some dental work done recently, and even doing this video is kind of painful. And there was 124 questions answered in the Q&A, so that's going to be a pretty long one, I think. But yeah. Thanks all for watching. Stick around for more Victoria 3 content in the near future. And yeah, until then, Toodle pip. Why did I say toodle pip? Whatever. Bye.